Very good evening, uh, ladies and gentlemen. So one of our panel member, due to some poor network in this area, he will join lately. So shall we start, sir, with this?
Yes, we can start.
Okay, sir. So he will join us later because he has some poor connectivity. So we'll start with here. So good evening, each and everyone present here. Today we are going to conduct our 30th webinar on sustainable tourism practices. We have with us our panel members, Sri Sailendra Jaiswal, Principal Executive Director, DRDO. And we also have with us Sri Jitendra Kumar Mahanti, Chairman, Hotel and Restaurant Association of Odisha. And we have with us Sri T. Banambar Patro, Managing Director, Tosila Resorts International. He will join us lately because of rain and poor connectivity. He will join us within 4 to 5 minutes down the line. He's trying from the last 20 minutes. So when it comes to our topic, sustainability, today in this COVID times, and we find that the tourism sector is the worst affected in terms of that. From the last 2 years, we are facing several issues. So now it is a time of we have to live with this kind of crisis. So can we implement sustainable norms or in terms of business sustainability in tourism sector or not? So it is a big issue and big challenges today that though tourism is contributing so much to the nation and world tourism, so we are affected because of this lockdown. Not only lockdown, but can we make livelihood perspective business models in this time in terms of sustainable tourism sustainability? So we'll ask our experts, our panel members here, and we'll view their views and experiences that can tourism can be a sustainable environment or not. So to start with, first of all, I would like to invite Sri Jitendra Kumar Mahanti, who is Chairman, Hotel and Restaurant Association of India. Before that, I would like to speak in brief about Sir. Prior to his positioning in DRDO, he was Executive Director, Efficiency and Research, Ministry of Railways. He has more than 35 years of experience in the field of general management, research, quality management, manufacturing education, operation, and in various capacity of Indian Railway public sector. He has made several innovations in the field. And when it comes to our Jitendra Kumar Mahanti sir, Chairman, Hotel and Restaurant Association of Odisha, he has done a BA honors from Delhi University and a special training course in hotel activities under Cornell University, USA, in hotel sales, marketing and planning. He has started Swasti Hotel in 1984. He is at present a successful entrepreneur in tourism, hospitality, education sectors in his 37 years of business life, who have started from zero. Now he owns organizations including Swasti Hotel Private Limited, Swasti Premium Bhubaneswar, Swastika Chilika Resort. So calling hospitality and tourism a sector which can be a driving force for the country's economy after pandemic situations, J.K. Mohanty sir have written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi urging the government to work proactively to rescue the tourism sector, which was published in Economic Times Travel World, May 13, 2021. Sir, uh, please give your deliberations.
Thank you, Dr. Das, for inviting me as a guest speaker to this enlightened crowd here, and especially Mr. Sailendra, who is here with us today with his vast experience. I'm sure we will have a lot to learn from him today. I would also like to welcome all the students and faculties of the ASBM to this webinar on sustainable tourism, which is a global subject. It is not a small subject, it's a very big subject. I don't know whether I can really cover it up in 15 minutes, but I will say whatever time I have for sustainable tourism. Friends, today the tourism industry globally, as you are all aware, has been badly hit. The airlines industry, the cruise are almost crippled. Most of the tour operators, travel agents working in this country have almost closed down all their offices, and most of them have switched over to some alternate business. Hoteliers who have made huge capital investments in the tourism sector are suffering badly, not being able to pay salary to their staff, not being able to pay statutory dues to the government, interest to the bankers. I think in my last 40 years of doing business, I have never seen such a global disaster. This is the first time I'm witnessing, and every day the number of deaths among friends, relatives, and all is all shocking and depressing. From the tourism industry, we have appealed to the central and state government for providing some relief on statutory payments to the government, on demand charges on the electricity, holding taxes by the municipal corporations, exemption on payment of bar licenses, and some basic amount of minimum salary payable to our employees, and extending a further moratorium on the term loans after the second COVID wave that has hit India now. But the priorities of the central government and the state governments are different. Tourism has never been a priority by the government in comparison to all other sectors. Many of the employees working in the tourism industry are jobless today. And although they are willing to work in any other sector, but the avenues in all other sectors are also closed. Because most of the industries are shut. Having said all the negative things about the existing pandemic situation, which is very depressing, I would like to inform that the future will not always be the same as present. The pandemic situation created by COVID-19 has kept people of all ages locked up inside their houses between their four walls for a very long time. People are almost depressed and frustrated not being able to get out of their houses. That is why when we see there is a slight relaxation by the government permitting people to go to the market to purchase essentials, grocery and all, suddenly the markets are overcrowded. This only shows how desperate people are to get out of their houses and to travel. Man is a social animal. He cannot stay alone locked up indoors permanently. He has to move. A recent survey made by a leading newspaper on the people who are locked up said that 80% of the people want to travel after lockdown and shutdown and after the threat of the virus is gone. World Health Organization and the health experts are predicting the third phase of COVID-19 in the month of October this year, and this is inevitable. This third phase, as said in the TV news, is going to affect children below 18 years. This is a very dangerous situation because once children get affected, parents will have to take care of their children, and every possibility of the virus affecting the parents once again is there. the vicious circle. And when we listen to the experts in the World Health Organization, their messages are quite scary and depressing as well, although they speak the truth. However, the experts have predicted that the effects of the third phase should be over by February 2022. This means that the total economy, not only in the tourism sector, the total economy will be in very bad shape, will go to doldrum. The government will have to seriously work on how to revive the economy. And this is a very challenging effort which the government needs to do. After February 22, when the COVID impact is gone, there will be no looking back. In fact, the entire economy will start booming. And those people who are desperate, staying indoors, locked up, will take the revenge of traveling globally and madly. I anticipate there will be a major boom in the tourism sector and hospitality sector after 2022. Till then, the situation will be grave. Some of the business in the hospitality and tourism sector, people who are working in this sector will change jobs, will change their professions. But I am quite hopeful after 22 February, this is going to be a major, there is going to be a major boom in the tourism sector. At that time, all the airlines, cruise business, hotels, travel agents, tour operators, destination management companies, transport operators, all will bounce back. It is time, it is at that time that we should think of sustainable and responsible tourism business. When the boom will come, that is the time all negative things can happen. And that is the time the government has to make laws for sustainable and responsible tourism, which have to be implemented very carefully. According to the United Nations, by 2030, the policies which have been framed for sustainable tourism, for creation of jobs, promotion of art, craft, culture, cuisine, handicraft, handloom, artisans, and all other sectors will be involved directly or indirectly in the tourism sector. Tourism is just not hotels and travel agents and tour operators. When tourism booms, when tourism really takes off, everybody benefits. The handicraft, handloom sector, the artisans, the culture, the craft, cuisine, art, everybody benefits once tourism picks up. This is a mega industry. This is a mega industry. The banks will benefit, promoters will benefit, new entrepreneurs will be born. So this is a boom which is expected after 2022. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, WTTC, tourism generated 194 billion US dollars, which is 6.8% of India's GDP in 2019, and supported by 39.80 million jobs, which is almost 8% of the total employment in the world. The sector is predicted to grow at an annual rate of 9.9%, which is the highest compared to any other sector. The future is very bright. In India, are we ready for such a boom that is expected? This is a question. A huge number of foreign tourists will enter India, and massive investment in the tourism infrastructure of our country is needed. Today, the investment in tourism is very low. The budget allocated to the Ministry of Tourism by the Government of India and the state governments is the lowest. So tourism is today a very neglected sector as far as both the state and central government is concerned. By giving utmost importance to the tourism and hospitality sector, the government will definitely get benefits as tourism industry plays a major role in country's economic development. The tourism industry not only generates revenues for a country and cultural wealth, but it also helps significantly in creating employment opportunities to get a large number of people. Moreover, it is also one of the most important economic engines to attract more foreign exchange and foreign investment for the country's economic development. If we are talking about benefits of career choice in the hospitality and tourism sector, definitely it has a very bright future. The number of jobs created by tourism in different areas are very significant. These jobs are not only emphasized to establish more hospitality education institutions, but also benefited to the agriculture sector, communication sector, airlines, roads, health sector, transportation sector, handloom, handicraft, and many other sectors directly or indirectly. Careers in the tourism and hospitality industry are amongst the fastest growing areas of employment in the world. The jobs out there are plentiful, and not just in India. You can get a job anywhere in the world. Today, the jobs in IAS, IPS, allied services, they're all very attractive, no doubt, but they are limited to work within India. Like engineers can work globally, the hospitality sector trained people, professionals, a good student can get a job at a Hilton in USA also, or Japan, or anywhere, in one of the leading world class hotels if they are good at their job. And that is why I say tourism, the opportunities are vast and unlimited. When we talk about today's topic, sustainable tourism, it is just not a buzzword. It is essential, it is necessary. The United Nations General Assembly had declared the year 2017 as the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for development. Sustainable tourism in any form means, as a traveler, tourist, to make a better, greener choice for the environment. Be it choosing a hotel made of recycled units, be it choosing an Airbnb where the host uses wastewater and recycled water gardens, be it flying to a destination through certain aviation brands which contribute less emission of carbon dioxide, or be it conscious as a citizen by carrying own bottles of filled with water, carrying own trash and disposing it in allocated places. Through sustainable tourism, we need to ensure using our natural resources, social and cultural, as a long-term business sense. We need to reduce consumption of and wastage. We need to maintain biodiversity and promote natural and social and cultural diversity for long-term sustainable tourism. Integrating tourism into planning, taking care of environmental impact and assessment on a regular basis needed for long-term viability of tourism. Tourism that supports a wide range of local economic activities need to be given priority by the government of India as well as the state government. Involvement of local communities in promotion of tourism and hospitality infrastructure Ecotourism development also improves the quality of tourism experience. The government must regularly consult the stakeholders involved in the tourism sector and the public for inclusive growth. Trained manpower to give professional services needs to be increased. Marketing of tourism should be done responsibly, should not be false advertising. Continuous research and development in the tourism sector is required. Responsible tourism is nothing but taking care of the stakeholders of, for achieving the sustainable tourism and create a better place for people to live and for people to visit as tourists. Our tourism policy should be aimed at minimizing negative impact on the economy, environment, and society. That is why we say we need to have responsible tourism that can sustain for a longer time and not make a quick money and by selling something and then sending back dissatisfied tourists. Local people in the villages need to be involved in making decisions to create a tourism friendly atmosphere to welcome investors and both visitors to the country. Examples of this, bright examples of this, you can see in countries like Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, Nepal, and other Southeast Asian countries where tourism is their major source of income. Major source of income. If you involve the villagers in tourism sector, I think the guests also will get a real good experience about the village rural life of India, which is very rich. In Odisha, our tribal life is very rich. We have 65 tribes, and their livelihood. See, when we were having foreign tourists coming to this place, they were mostly going to see the tribal areas. And when they were going, they did not mind paying a tip of 100 pounds. These foreigners paid tips to the tribes. But today, life is hell in all those areas due to lack of tourism. We need to welcome tourists at all levels into our country, right from a taxi driver to the general manager of a hotel and to all people with whom they come across during their visit to this country. We should have a policy to welcome a tourist and send back a friend, converting them into a tourism ambassador of our country. This is what Sri Lanka, Thailand, Singapore, these countries have been doing. That is why Indians are repeatedly going to these countries. Every year when a person has little money, he would like to fly down to Singapore or Sri Lanka or Thailand or even Nepal, where the guest experience is good. Only when the entire society benefits out of the tourism sector can we sustain the tourism sector on a long-term basis. So this is where the government should use the expertise of the stakeholders to formulate a long-term sustainable policy for tourism. There is no doubt the budgets of the government are required for defense, for education, for health, irrigation, all other sectors. But if we can give equal importance to the tourism sector, one major problem, employment in this country will be resolved forever. There will be no question of unemployment once tourism sector picks up. This is one industry that promotes universal brotherhood, friendship, cultural ties between countries, and experiences of our past glorious history and culture. Tourism does not drain out metals and minerals resources of the country, which other industries do in large scale. Tourism is absolutely a smoke-free industry. Friends, it is through tourism that the face of our country is exhibited as any foreign tourist or businessman enters into this country will first come to any hotel. If we have the attitude of Atiti Devo Bhava, I am sure India would grow tremendously in the hospitality and tourism sector. We can see in front of our own eyes countries like Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, again, Sri Lanka, Nepal, all these countries, our neighboring countries, are thriving on tourism. India, with its vast cultural heritage, temples, architecture, beaches, mountains, lakes, forests, has much more to offer than our neighboring countries. But when we compare the tourism growth of our country with the neighbors, I think we are far behind them because of poor infrastructure created by the government in the tourism field. This attitude of the government needs, the tourism sector definitely needs attention of the government, so that once tourism picks up, all other sectors involved with them will pick up. We can make India a great nation, a great tourist destination with our tourism and hospitality industry. Thank you. I think I have taken more time than I was given. I will now.
No, sir. Thank you very much for your inputs. Your inputs and your thoughts will really help our sustainable tourism practices. As you rightly said, that sustainable principles refers to not only economic and social cultural aspects, but also business of tourism development. And a suitable balance must be established between these three dimensions to guarantee a long-term sustainability. So India need to develop guidelines and management practices as applicable to all forms of tourism in the types of destinations, including mass tourism and various niche tourism segments today. So thank you very much, sir. And I request all the participants to post your questions in the chat box, so that in the question hour session, we can, sir will address your questions. Thank you, sir. So may I now request our next panel member, Sri Sailendra Jaiswal, sir, Principal Executive Director, DRDO. So before I invite sir, I would like to speak on a brief about him. Sir is right now working as Executive Director, Efficiency and Research, Ministry of Railways, prior to joining to DRDO. He has more than 35 years of experience in fields of general management, research, quality management, manufacturing, education, operation and vigilance. He has worked in many positions like Deputy Director General, NAIR, Divisional Railway Manager, Senior Professional Manager, Chief Rolling Stock Engineer, Chief Workshop Manager, Chief Vigilance Officer. And he has done several innovations in the field of manufacturing, quality, and other aspects. Sir, we greet you and invite you to this forum for to speak on sustainable tourism practices. Sir, please.
Sir, namaskar. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
sir. We can hear.
So thank you very good. So I received poetry from your Chancellor. So I thought before starting, I must read this poetry. This poetry is in Hindi, but with permission of your Chancellor, I will just read 2 lines in this. सूरज कितना भी दूर हो, उसको घर आने का रास्ता देना. So I was saying, in this time of pandemic, in this time of illness, pandemic and COVID-19, I would say, सूरज कितना भी दूर हो, उसको आने का रास्ता देना. So I'm looking for some rays of hope, some rays of sun, and thankfully Konark temple is there with you. You can get more sun than the remaining country, and I hope Odisha will become the beacon of positivity in this environment. So let me start with I'm not an expert on tourism industry by any chance. So let me talk about a few different things and I'll come to tourism. So friends, we are all knowing that the past year has been very tough for all of us. But just to share with you, there is one industry which has grown very much in the last year. And this industry is the passenger car industry. We must understand, you would have seen that all car companies, especially Tata Motors, and I will again come to Tata Motors, they have been growing phenomenally in the past year. In fact, Tata Motors, one particular car, the sales grew by 547% in March 21 as compared to March 20. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Amongst the gloom of pandemic, how is it that the car industry, passenger car industry especially, has grown? There are reasons. Because of pandemic, it has grown. Now, it is this thing that gives us some amount of hope that other industries can also grow if they do something differently. Friends, the way that I want to look at the tourism industry today is we would like to do some business model innovation in the tourism industry. What was the business model yesterday and today in this particular time of crisis? I think that business model at least temporarily requires a change. So let's look at 2-3 complementary industries to Odisha very quickly. So I think the two industries which Odisha should very seriously look as a complementary to the tourism industry. One is religious, other is cultural. Now, this has been my big issue with in fact, with your chancellor also. I asked him this question. This question has always fascinated me, and I think I will put this question to all the panels, and people can write on the chat box. About 15 years back, somebody asked me this question: what does Utkal stand for? And the answer has been a source of great joy to me. And I learned, and very few people outside Odisha know this. Many people in Odisha also don't know this, that Utkal stands for Utkrisht Kala. I think perhaps this thing is known inside Odisha, but I would request Professor Patnaik to get a survey done. Outside Odisha, this is not known. And this is my anecdotal evidence. It is. A few years back, I also talked to some people who are very interested in setting up an arts incubator in Odisha because of this whole thing that Odisha has been a powerhouse of arts. And we looked at a city called, which is famously known as Kalahandi. And I started asking somebody, and then somebody told me actually it is not Kalahandi, it is Kalahandi. What does Kalahandi mean? What does it stand for? It is a pot of art. Handi, which is a pot, and Kala. Of course, there is now some difference of opinion. There is a very senior person from Odisha who is a secretary to Government of India. One day I was discussing to him. He said, "No, it is Kalahandi." Again, I asked your chancellor and founder. So to me, there is something in this which is intriguing me. In fact, I'm very keen to go to Bhavani Patna. I'm very keen to go to Kalahandi, and I want to understand. I believe today I would like the audience who's listening to also understand. And I'll come back why I think this is very important. And there are the big problem today, as Mr. Mohanty was saying, the pandemic is a health issue. Now, the whole story about entrepreneurship is how to convert a problem into an opportunity. This current pandemic, so the organization that I used to work converted 5,000 railway coaches into temporary COVID isolation center. The point that I wanted to make is that the tourism is a hospitality industry. The difference between hospitality and hospital is, I think, in English at least, it is one word. Can the hospitality industry become a hospital industry at least during the time of pandemic? I know there are issues of brand. Number of hotels in Delhi at least have been converted into COVID centers. I'm sure a similar thing is happening in Odisha. I would like to see how can we use this development positively. And Mr. Mohanty again mentioned a few things, that the pandemic is not only causing problems to people in terms of medical constraints, medical challenges. It is also leading to certain amount of what is called mental health related issues. To my mind, it is here that there is an opportunity for the hospitality industry to reinvent itself, to come out with a value proposition which is different than what it has traditionally been doing. So this orbital shifting value proposition, that can it contribute to state of health, improve health of citizens within this temporary period, I think could be a great objective. It will be a societal objective. I think maybe you must examine this. This may sound very far-fetched, but then since my knowledge of tourism is very limited, I'm trying to think from outside, and when you think from outside, you can only see things which are different. So another sector that I think, and as I said, that very few people outside Odisha know about the culture of Odisha. Even less number of people know about the food of Odisha. Now I'm told, and I've been very fortunate, many of my friends who travel from Odisha bring me sweets from Odisha. And I find that some of those sweets are excellent. But I find in Delhi where I live, there is not one shop of Odia sweet. I think there is a huge gap in Odisha's brand and reality. I think, and I hope Professor Patnaik will recommend my name to become an honorary citizen of Odisha. I think there is a great opportunity for students who are studying in your college and the college of Mr. Mohanty to come and open at least sweet shops in Delhi at least. I'm sure they will be a great success in Ahmedabad, in Mumbai, in Lucknow, everywhere. The sweets has been very good. I'm told that your cuisine is as good as your sweet. I would go one step back and I would say, during this pandemic, Indians have been consuming something called a kada. I know what you call a kada, this syrup for anybody having sore throat. I don't know what you call it in Odisha. I would say, and I'm very sure that the tribals in India have a very rich source of traditional medicine for all kinds of fevers, virals. I would say if you were to offer, now I'm shifting from medical tourism to preventive and immunity boosting tourism, I think you would do very well if there is a receipt for rejuvenating yourself. Now, yoga has this in lot amount called rejuvenation. Is food-based rejuvenation available in Odisha? And I'm sure it is available. The kind of temples you have got, the kind of food you have got, I can 100% be very sure that behind all this, there are traditional nutraceuticals which will be able to help people rejuvenate, boost their immunity. So I would call this immunity boosting tourism. Professor Patnaik, I'm sharing all my knowledge, and I hope some of this is taken up by some of the professors of entrepreneurship in ASBM. Some of the startups take this forward. Immunity boosting tourism during the time of pandemic. I think this would give boost to health. This would give boost to the food industry. This would give boost to the hotel industry, the tourist industry, and it would give a huge fill up to brand release. I hope you can find something interesting in whatever I'm saying. So we are all lamenting that there is very little employment because of pandemic. Our employment is falling. People are not finding jobs. The story that I know is also very different, and I would like to talk to you about, and I'll take up a very specific issue. I've talked to your chancellor about it on a slightly different way. So I just want to frame this. This is not to do with tourism, but the implications are similar. Indian toy industry today is about $3 billion or $3.5 billion. These figures are, because of accountal, they are different. India produces only 1 billion, we are importing 2 billion. One of the toys where India should be doing very well is soft toys. We seem to import 80%, 75% of our toys we are importing. China is manufacturing 75% of its toys. What is it that we can do in toy sector? Is this an opportunity where children are at home, where parents are wanting their children to do not only be limited to the digital media, but do something with their hands, become dexterous manually? Can Odisha take a lead because of its art? Also because of tremendous amount of art in your handloom, Sambalpuri thing. Can you come out with, and your manufacturing capability in making ornaments, jewelry is legendary. Can you do some very quick manufacturing, I would say accelerated design and manufacturing of toys? Toys I know. There's another subject that I talked to your chancellor was furniture. India's record in furniture is horrible. We are importing, in spite of having such phenomenal powerhouse of arts and skill as Odisha, we are importing from a new nation called Malaysia. All our wood is getting imported. What is it that you can do? There can be parallels in tourism to this. This is an opportunity for at least the tourism in Odisha to leverage its culture, leverage the food of Odisha, reinvent itself, rejuvenate itself, and offer a totally new value proposition, which is immunity boosting, which will also look after health and earn you money. And mind you, this is not only for India. This could be for the world. Now, how can this be medically sure? We need to do modeling. If required, we must make tourism workers as frontline workers, get them vaccinated. The tourism industry must take lead in this. If the tourism industry, now I'm not speaking as a government official, I'm only saying this, our banks are flush with money. If we are looking for grant, if we are looking for dole, it is not available. But if we have an interesting business proposition, there is no lack of money in the world. And I think it is this capability of our entrepreneurs, of our business professors to come out with interesting business models, which would help the tourism industry and all industry and create employment. I just thought I would mention this to one more thing to you. There is great opportunity because of pandemic to have crockery which is sanitized. Now there are two ways to have crockery which does not create infection. One is to sanitize, one is to use a green crockery or green plates. Again, there is big opportunity for technology to provide plates, eating utensils which are made out of biomass, be the fresh leaves or processed. And I hope the tourism industry promotes it today and it makes it as one of its value proposition in future. There is one more tourism that I wanted to share with you. This has become a bit popular in Maharashtra, and I think Mr. Mohanty mentioned about it. This is village tourism. How can we promote village tourism, which is tourism for health, tourism for rejuvenation, and tourism for harmony? So I think we need to do this kind of branding and get going. One of my friends from Odisha has been talking to me about a very big festival for tourism called Kite Festival in Ahmedabad. I would say that you must look into your history, promote your festivals, promote your sports, promote your dances. I think you call it Gumru in Bhavani Patna. Gumru, this my name that I'm calling may be wrong or something, but look at that and try to benefit from this. So this is mostly that I had to say that from within these constraints we need to find some solutions. There are always solutions. It is always our ability to find them. Maybe at the level of students, we need to think of what kind of modern ideas like blockchain, etc., we can apply to improve transparency, to see that whenever our tourists come, Mr. Mohanty said, Atiti Deva Bhava, how can we offer those experience, use modern technology? That is the level of, cutting edge business management. Lastly, I would like to say, and again, this again would go to our I mean, my associate and friend for a long time, Professor Patnaik, that sir, we must think of a Keynesian model in tourism. That how can we kickstart tourism by both private sector investment, but guaranteed by the government. I think that's the model that we need to look at to go forward. I think that is all that I had to say. I mean, I may have forgotten one or two things, but I'm sure I've given you some thought-provoking ideas. You can respond. Thank you very much. It is my privilege to talk to all of you. I know I don't have any experience in tourism, so my ideas may be far-fetched. My ideas may sound like coming from the moon or the sun, but doesn't matter. I think I'm very grateful to Mr. Patnaik, to a professor who coordinated, all the people who listened. Thank you for your time. May God bless you. Bye.
Thank you very much, sir. We will take your inputs, and as you have told that we will take it way forward for research work, and we'll be in touch with you, sir. Already you have asked, we have so many interactions like whether Kalahandi is black or culture. So we will take forward with you, sir. Thank you very much. So may I now welcome Sri Vanambar Patra, sir, who have due to some network issues, sir have not joined late. He's a managing director of Tosali Resource International. Sir, please give your deliberations, sir. Sir, please unmute, sir. Sir, it is not audible. Please unmute your mic. Sir, it is not audible, sir. Sir, unmute karan, sir. अभिजीत टिके रीसेट करो तांकर होनी टिके रीसेट हे परियो बाहर करी माने मते जेंति करथुल हां Sir, right now, can you unmute so that
Hello.
it is audible, sir? Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, thank you. In fact, I'm very sorry that is where the sustainable tourism practice could not be established. This is one of the reasons for over 1.5 hours I have been trying on the internet to get in touch, but unfortunately it could not. However, that is one part of the story. The other part, as we discuss about sustainable tourism practices, I have only 2 points to tell because my previous members already spoken a lot about tourism practices. I would say the first thing is we have to look for the organic farming, which is very much required. We have empty lands around the country as well as a countryside of our state, and we can get into it, and that is the main value. I give an example that Tosali Sands established an organic farm about 15 years back. Today, whatever we are growing here, our entire team as well as the resort guests, they are benefited with complete organic food. This is one of the strengths, which of course it's an expensive affair of doing a job. It is a certified organic farm by Tatas, and successfully we have been doing it. Coming back to the other tourism, sustainable practice, which is to be connected to the rural areas. The rural area in the sense, Tosali Sands is semi-urban. It is nearer to Puri, but people say it's in rural area. Its distance from here, from the resort to Puri is 6 kilometers. That's to Gundichagar. But still people feel that Tosali Sands is located at a long distance place. But today, whatever we have done, it itself on this 30 acres of land is fantastically well established in all respects of all services. Atithi Devo Bhavo, the real practice that we follow here in our resort. Coming back to the nearest artisan village, which is Raghurajpur, and fill up the surrounding of the villages which from Puri to Chandanpur. There are so many villages, and the real experience can be contributed by the guests. Contributed to the guests by the hotels as well as by establishing country home inside every village. See, today people want to see the real culture, as Mr. Jaswal talked about that, Mr. J.K. Mahanti also talked about that. Both the things are very much present in this aspect. Think of about reaching to 12 kilometers behind Tosali Sands. The Raghurazpur village comes. To the nearby village, we have not a big patch of land, but it's about 8 acres, 10 acres of land. We also do organic paddy field, from where we get the sources to the resort. Even our guests get benefit out of that. The second point comes in, coming back to the rural area, the village itself is so beautifully done. There is practically a dam is coming up with an investment of a state government with 22 crores. Imagine, it's a small reservoir where they will circulate water to villagers from that reservoir, and it is beautifully located. The construction has not been completed. A part of it has been done. The other part will be shortly finishing off. Coming back from there, whatever the nearby villages are there, it is unique. The trees, you can compare, it is more than Kerala. People talk about Kerala, people talk about Goa. Puri is the best to my knowledge, because I have experienced all of these places by establishing, either putting a resort there or keeping a relationship with other hotels of those belts. So my submission is, let this be a practice to establish a sustainable tourism practice over there. Thank you very much. I have a little time because I have to attend one more seminar. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your deliberations. So right now we have two questions to address. So may I now request J.K. Mahanti sir to address this question. Sir, can tourism be a source of sustainable livelihood in Odisha?
This is a very good question. I think in Odisha, if you compare, I have been always working in the field of tourism since 1981, and we are a state. The resources required for the tourism, I think we have the best resources in the country. Odisha has everything that rest of India has to offer. As far as Odisha is concerned, you see, we have 65 rich tribes. In Koraput, if you see the forests, rich forests, forest life, tribal life, the ecotourism. I think the state government focused on ecotourism just 2 years back. And today, we are a very rich ecotourist destination in the country. You see the Bhitarkanika. Bhitarkanika, I was doing a promotion in Germany about 4 or 5 years back, doing a tourism promotion roadshow in Germany. And a film producer who attended my roadshow got interested in Bhitarkanika. And they wanted to do a film on Bhitarkanika. And they came and did a film. And they came and did this film through my travel company, Swasti Travel. Our billing for the crew members who stayed here for about a month, our billing was about 20 lakhs. They sold this film on Bhitarkanika to National Geographic at a rate of 5 crores. So this is, and they say Bhitarkanika is the mini Amazon of the country, which even Indians are not aware. We have the largest number of temples in the country. Bhubaneswar itself has more than 700 temples. What our friend Mr. Shailendra was speaking, the rich culture, the spiritual tourism, religious tourism. I think we are rich with the temples, the architecture, the Konark temple. You see, the few of them are famous. Few of them are famous, like the Jagannath temple, Konark temple, Lingaraj temple. The few are famous, but there are a lot of temples, and these are not known to the people. This is as far as spiritual and religious tourism is concerned. As far as beach, we have the longest coastline. We have 480 kilometers of beach. We have India's largest, what I say, not India, we have the largest lake in the northern hemisphere. That is the Chilka Lake. 1100 square kilometers. It is amazing. When you go to Chilka Lake, you can compare it with the sea. It looks like a beachfront. It's like a sea. It's not like a small lake. In Europe, small lakes are promoted in a big way and attract tourists. But we are sitting on gold mine in Odisha. The largest lake in northern hemisphere is in Odisha. Highest number of temples, beaches, the art, craft, culture, our cuisine, as Mr. Shalendra mentioned, these are filled with rich potential. But we have not encased in the tourism sector because there are few entrepreneurs, few promoters in this sector. There is vast scope for marketing these for ASBM students, especially for marketing Odisha as a destination. I think expertise of ASBM will be very helpful to promote Odisha as an international tourist destination. We have so much. We are filled with so much of potential. I think that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And since due to time constraints, we are not able to address all the questions, but we'll mail you, sir, if in case it will help you out, because other panel members have other commitments. So I would like to thank you very much for coming here and joining with us as a panel members. It was a slightly rainy and some poor network issues had led to some time driven. You have taken 10 minutes late. So I have recorded all the questions of the participants. So I will mail you, sir, so that things can be taken into more view. And thank you very much, sir. So first of all, I would like to.
As far as ASBM is concerned, Mr. Dr. Sunil Das, yes, we would like the expertise of ASBM, and I appeal to Dr. Biswajit Patnaik, who is here also, that the ASBM should be much more involved with the State Tourism Department, the Hotel Association, the hoteliers, in promoting Odisha as an international tourist destination, in working out with the state government the infrastructure that is required for promoting Odisha as an international tourist destination. I think ASBM will be very useful to the tourism sector. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We will take note of all these points and we'll keep with our management so that surely we would like to involve in other factors. Being the university of this rank, you will surely allow, sir. Jaiswal, sir, would you like to tell something?
Just one. I was to Mr. Mohanty and Professor Das and Professor Patnaik. We have an organization with us called Srijan Sanchar. And I think this is in this kind of business, we would like to associate to bring investment and expertise, global expertise in development. And my only request is the brand Odisha must grow. You are, as you are saying, you are sitting not on one gold mine, you are sitting on gold, diamond, silver, all kinds of mine. You are very, very rich in culture, heritage, food, everything. But as I said, you have no hotel, nothing in Delhi, nothing in Mumbai. If it is, please tell me. I would like to taste your cuisine. And if it is not there, we will help you set up these things. I think entrepreneurship development is very critical. I would like to say to Professor Patnaik also, Mr. Mohanty, we would like to work with you on entrepreneurship development, maybe mass entrepreneurship development. We must work on this. If you want, I can get somebody like Mr. Petroda to get associated. He has worked, he has lived in Odisha. So we are offering all these things. It is up. It is all for you to take. Thank you. God bless.
Okay. Thank you,
Can
sir.
can we have the last views of Dr. Biswajit Patnaik on this?
Yes. That
Sir,
would be good.
Sir, we'll make another forum. Actually, another webinar is going to be organized at 5 to 10. So Sir has just joined there. So he will make. Thank you very much, sir, for joining and delighting us and giving good inputs. And I will be in touch with you, sir, to take this forward, the experiences and the inputs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaste,
God
sir.
bless.
Thank you all participants for joining us. Thank you, sir.